2021 draft finally here. Today we're gonna go over this mock draft that we and you did. So we alternated picks. I did odds, you did evens.
Hmm.
How you feeling about your picks?
I feel like there's gonna be a lot of happy fans here.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm
yeah.
gonna go with to start this off.
It's a very good draft. It's looking like a very good draft. So hopefully a lot of these guys pan out.
Flush with the linemen. I think that was the most surprising thing is how many offensive linemen, especially in the latter half of the first round, are gonna be people are gonna be plucking those one by one at the bottom of the first round.
All right, so let's get started. So no time to waste here. We number one, Jacksonville. They're taking Trevor Lawrence. I had the odds on my first pick. I took Trevor Lawrence. It's gonna happen. He's gonna be Urban Meyer's quarterback in Jacksonville.
And, whenever I can find a prop bet for Justin Fields at one, we're just one accusation. We're just one bong rip video. You're always you're one old deleted tweet. You're always one thing away from Trevor Lawrence going from first overall to all of a sudden Urban Meyer might like his guy from Ohio State.
Yeah,
But
we'll see.
since that's more likely not to happen, Trevor Lawrence should probably go one, no doubt. And we can go ahead and move on to number two, where I have the Jets taking Justin Fields because that's the second best quarterback on the board. I don't really too much understand the Zach Wilson hype for him to be like the unquestioned, no doubt, I'm the second best quarterback in this draft and maybe even one that some people have gotten behind on.
If we're being real, he's not even my top. He's not in my top three of the quarterbacks that are coming out.
It's just
But apparently he's penciled in to go to the Jets. But I do think Justin Fields. I think there should be more discussions to who's going to. But apparently it's penciled in.
Apparently it's penciled in, but we'll see.
I would actually prefer if they took Justin Fields.
This is more of what we thought we would do, what we think we would do, rather than what we think the teams will do.
But we skipped out on talking about T. Law. But how do you feel about the prospect Justin Fields? How do you feel about him as a prospect?
Justin Fields, he reminds me like he's not as big as Cam Newton, and but he looks like he might be a better athlete. And everyone talks about his ability to process the field, but I watched him throw 6 touchdown passes and a half against Clemson, and he seemed to have no problems processing the field all day. We've seen him in the biggest games, in the biggest moments, put on a show. He's been hurt in some of these games, and he managed to still pull through and show toughness. In this league today, you got to have guys who can escape the pocket and make plays outside of structure. I love Justin Fields. He could easily be one for me in this class just off of his talent alone, but he sells in at 2 right here.
I like his arm talent. I like his toughness. I do hate his system. I hate the system he played in. It's
Just a player.
It's
He's got the player.
I know. That's how you got to do it. But that system is so different. But I do like his toughness, and I do like his arm talent, and I like his athleticism, and I definitely think he's a better prospect than Zach Wilson. And I think he's closer to Trevor Lawrence than people are letting out to be. As for Trevor Lawrence, I think he has everything you want. He has the most tools of all the quarterbacks in this draft. But his system is really collegey and gimmicky too. So I think that he's going to Urban Meyer's the godsend for his career, really.
All right, so here's the guy that I have probably the most questions on, and that's at number 3.
At 3, I'm going to take Trey Lance. He's the guy that I like in this. He's the quarterback I like in this draft. I like his size. I like his arm. I think he has the best arm. I think he has the second best size to T. Law. And I think he has the best running ability of all the quarterbacks in this draft.
Not surprising coming from the guy who was in love with Carson Wentz.
Also in love with Josh Allen.
He's a big, small school FCS quarterbacks.
And I think
Josh Allen was FBS at Wyoming. I think.
No, he was definitely NCAA. I think they were definitely D1. They were D1. I will say Trey Lance is a different prospect than Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz was definitely a better passer.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do like the most, unlike Justin Fields, I like Trey Lance's more NFL-like system. So he's played under center. He's played out of pistol. He plays in shotgun. It's very risky that he didn't have to play a season this year. That sucks that he didn't get to play this year.
Mm-hmm.
But his film from 2019, when things were normal and there were fans, was good. His team's loaded in their under ranked division. But he's got the best chance in the right situation. He has the best chance to be the best quarterback in this class.
I think the key thing you said right there was the right situation, and I think if there's a quarterback who needs to be in the most comfortable fit right away the most, it would be Trey Lance.
And I also
the
don't
most
think
comfortable fit is San Francisco.
Yeah.
So
also I can't buy into San Francisco trading up for
Mac Jones.
I don't buy that.
Neither one of us think that's a thing.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
At number 4, for Atlanta, it's surprising that Zach Wilson is still on the board here. I definitely don't think he's the second best quarterback in this class, but Atlanta with the Arthur Smith offense, with Julio, with Ridley, good offensive line. He doesn't have to play right away. I think this is a dream fit for Atlanta and Zach Wilson. He seems like a perfect Ryan Tannehill facsimile, but with more special arm talent, in my opinion. And Atlanta has to take a quarterback here. I don't know what the discussion is about Kyle Pitts or anything of the sort.
I told you the analogy earlier this week. It's like when you're at this grocery store. You don't need milk all the time, but if you're there, you might as well grab it. They're at 4. They don't need a quarterback now.
And they're probably too talented to pick this high again. Yeah. So, no.
If I was them, they should be taking a quarterback. Unless they could trade out. If they could trade out, that's also fine.
You do that too.
Zach Wilson as a prospect, I like the film from this year. I don't like the size. Scares me. The size scares me, and the previous year's film scares me. I don't know how people blew him up this year to be number 2. I don't know what he's got where did he get all his fans behind him?
It's got to be that Pat Mahomes FOMO.
He's not. I don't see that, but I don't see anything.
If you watch his tape, you see a lot of those type of Pat Mahomes type
plays.
Those flashes, and since 9 teams too many missed out on those Patrick Mahomes flashes, this year's gonna get the same guy. You know how it goes. A guy who isn't the usual mold gets drafted and hits. And everybody for the next few years has to take that guy way higher than he probably deserves to go because they don't want to miss out.
That's how we get Baker Mayfield on number 1 in 2018.
You don't want to miss out. So yeah, Zach Wilson. He's a guy who he has the all important skill of being able to make plays outside the pocket. He's a good athlete. He can move around. Good pocket awareness. I don't like the competition that he played at BYU. The one game they played against Coastal Carolina, that was the best competition they played.
You gotta remember though, I forgot that they randomly threw that game together.
They did.
I'm gonna. The problem is, it's really hard to judge the 2020 film under the circumstances. So
this is what we have to do though, more than ever.
I mean, they got to do it. So I mean, it's always gonna be a risk. It doesn't really matter.
But Zach Wilson at 4.
Zach Wilson 4. I mean, luckily for these quarterbacks, 3 and 4 with San Francisco and Atlanta are really good fostering environments for growth. So they're lucky. It sucks, unfortunately, that somebody has to go to the Jets because they just chew up and spit out quarterbacks.
All right, so what you like at 5 for Cincinnati?
At 5, I'm going controversial, but I'm taking Jamar Chase for Cincinnati. He's receiver 1. He's true receiver 1 because I do have Kyle Pitts as the best player in this draft, in my opinion. But Jamar Chase, he's Joe Burrow's guy. You're making your quarterback happy. You know that they have the chemistry already. It's foolproof. So I think it sucks that they have to pass up on an O lineman, and usually I would take O lineman over receiver, but in this scenario, Chase is a good enough player in this draft to me to take out the L on the O line in this later rounds, and I'll take Jamar Chase team up with Joe Burrow.
Jamar Chase is deserving to be the number 5 overall pick in this draft. I don't disagree. What I do disagree with is he's the first non-quarterback off the board. Like, I love Jamar Chase, and if Jamar Chase is Odell Beckham Jr., that's great. But is Odell Beckham Jr. still more valuable than Penei Sewell, than Kyle Pitts, than Rashawn Slater? I think Cincinnati should have gone. I think you should have gone with tackle there. But pairing Joe Burrow with his 20 touchdown buddy in the greatest college season of all time, I can't hate on it. At number 6. I think Miami definitely came back up for a pass catcher. I think there's almost no doubt about that. But this isn't what I think they would do. This is what I would do. And I think Miami needs to go ahead and take Penei Sewell. Plug him right in. I think you can move Austin Jackson from last year to right tackle, or just play Penei Sewell at right tackle. He's been working out there throughout the draft process. He's the most talented tackle on this board. He's got the generational plug-and-play 15-year type of ability there. You gotta protect Tua if you're Miami. That's your most important investment. And I like Devontae Parker. I like Preston Smith. I like
Will Fuller.
Gesicki. They added Will Fuller in the offseason, so I don't think receivers is as big of a need. It's a tough call between him and Kyle Pitts, that's for sure. Kyle Pitts can completely transform that offense, but I think Penei Sewell gives him a higher floor and gives him a better chance of protecting their quarterback. So I'm going with Penei Sewell at 6.
So you'll say Penei Sewell's you got Penei Sewell as tackle 1 in this draft?
Yes, I think that's almost no question. I like Slater. The Zach Martin comparison makes a lot of sense for Rashawn Slater, and if he ends up being Zach Martin, that probably should be the pick. And you have the tape on him blocking Chase Young, that can't be denied. But I think I like Sewell's measurables and his athleticism a little bit better. And he's also younger. He's going to be 20 years old when the season starts.
Now, his film is clearly dominant. He did opt out. I'm not holding that against players, though.
Both go. Sewell and Slater both opted out, so that's
and Chase. So I'm not holding that against players. But what about the competition he played? He didn't play any dominant edge rushers in the Pac-12.
I think offensive lineman being a quality offensive lineman is much more about the tools than who you blocked. Because this is a college game. In the NFL, guys are going to be getting the ball out quick. It's going to be an entirely different setup of how you deal with NFL pass rushing versus what you deal with in college. So I think in the NFL, when it comes to these Chase Young type of edge guys, these Gumby, bendy, elite athletes on the edge, I think you want a guy who can stand out there and compete at an athletic level with these guys on the edge. And I think Penei Sewell gives you a better chance at that.
And you can never go wrong with grabbing the best offensive lineman in the draft.
Never go wrong.
For 7, Detroit. I'm taking Kyle Pitts.
No!
I'm taking Kyle Pitts. He's the best player on the board, and you know they love to take tight ends. So you know he's... And I don't consider him a tight end. I have him as receiver, offensive weapon 1.
That's the only argument you can make.
He's offensive weapon 1. He's the best player in this draft. If he busts, I don't know how he could.
This is Detroit. This is the one. Detroit is the worst at handling generational talent. They've taken top tight ends in the top 10 3 times more than any other team should ever need to. And I think that's still going to be his primary position. I still think that's where they're going to play him. Now, if he's a George Kittle type of player for Robert Saleh's, not for Dan Campbell's team, and
team him up. Their
Detroit,
coach is a former tight end.
I just feel like
he's the best player on the board.
For as good as Kyle Pitts can be, is this the best value?
The only reason I can stand behind is because their team is so awful that they have no choice but to take whoever's the best player on the board. They have to just add him and start building.
So does this feel like a trade back then? This feels like our first real prime trade back spot.
If somebody wanted to trade, yes. If Detroit's needs assets out the ass. Mm-hmm. So if somebody wants to come up and get pick 7, if Denver wants to go get Mac Jones, if New England wants to go Mac Jones, in this scenario, we didn't feel the need to make a trade.
Yeah.
So I just sat tight. It takes 2 to tango to make a trade anyway, and I'll take Kyle Pitts. It is what it is.
That's the best player on the board, so I can't call it a miss necessarily, but the Detroit taking tight ends in the top 10, that's just scary.
That could always become a miss.
At 8 for Carolina, I went ahead and nabbed Rashawn Slater, next best offensive lineman on the board. You could have gone with Mac Jones here, but they went for Sam Darnold, who I think is about the same level of talent as Mac Jones, and they're probably close in age. So
yes, the thing on Sam Darnold, he's
younger than everybody. We know Sam Darnold. So in that case, I think Rashawn Slater's. They went all defense last year. They got to shore up that offensive line. I like their receiving weapons enough that I don't think they need to go with a Waddle or Devontae Smith here. They could have gone They could have gone on defense as well, but like I said, whole draft on defense last year. Rashawn Slater's probably the best player on the board. I think he's a good, solid pick at 8.
Yeah. So I guess the only question I have is he a guard or is he a tackle?
I think he's whatever you need him to be.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, the Zach Martin comparison seems like the fairest comparison for Rashawn Slater. He could go out there and do the job, but it's probably more like, do you want a Pro Bowl tackle or an All Pro guard? Is basically what you're deciding on, but I think that helps your offensive line no matter where you put him.
And lucky for him, he's got the most impressive set of work of film.
Mm-hmm. Blocking Chase Young is no small feat. Can't deny that.
All right, so next we're gonna move on to Denver. So we've got Denver here at 9. Now I'm a bigger believer in Drew Lock, even though he had a terrible season last year, in my opinion. He was in a bad situation. They had the COVID problem.
He got hurt right away, too.
Yeah. So they could take Mac Jones, but I don't see the purpose of moving on from Drew Lock to Mac Jones. I don't know if Mac Jones is that much better of an NFL prospect at quarterback than Drew Lock at this moment. So I got him sitting back and taking in my opinion, the best defensive player in the draft, Micah Parsons. I
don't know if I agree with that, but go on.
He fits the He'll fit the Vangio scheme, 3-4 inside linebacker that can do blitzing. I think he's underrated in coverage. He's a beast athletically. This is an offensive draft, but so they've lucked into their defensive coaching staff getting probably the defensive player of their dream in this draft. They kick a corner, but they signed a corner in this offseason. They signed 2 corners this offseason?
Yeah, they signed Darby and Fuller.
Yes, they signed 2 corners this offseason, so I'll get them plugging in the linebacker next to that guy, the undrafted guy they had a few years ago that was breaking out big. Micah Parsons. So
I like the pick here. Micah Parsons definitely has the athletic talent to be a top 10 pick. Another opt-out guy, but I also think that he's going to be a guy that's going to be hurt from the opt-outs because he's a guy who his biggest questions about his ability to read the field, his experience at the position, his experience as a leader on defense. So that's just the thing. Like, we don't know sky high ceiling, but also a very low floor when it comes to Michael Parsons because he can always be just an athlete like a Darren Lee a few years ago.
Ooh.
Those type of those guys who end up being just an athlete. But if they can coach him up and they can show him they can find the right role for him on that defense, he could be a special player for you.
All right. On to your Dallas Cowboys at 10.
For my Dallas Cowboys, I think with the way the board went here, you have no choice but to take a corner. I really don't know another position that makes any sense. And for me, it's it's 51-49 between Patrick Surtain and J.C. Horn. I like both guys. I worry about J.C. Horn's grabbiness at the NFL level. So that's why I'm going to go with Patrick Surtain here. I just think he played in the SEC, so you know he's going against all the best receivers, whether it be in practice or on the field on game day. His dad was a Pro Bowl player at the position. He's been playing it his whole life. He's got all the technical abilities of a top flight corner in the NFL. He showed that he's tested as a well above average athlete at the position.
Even though I'm questioning that 4.5 at the pro day, probably he ran 4.4 at the pro.
4.42, I think, at the pro.
So he's probably a 4.5-ish.
Is it? That's what we thought. That's what the film said he looks like anyway.
Yeah.
So
his speed is the only question mark in his game.
So and it wasn't worse. Mm-hmm. So the fact that we saw that, okay, he's got capable NFL speed, along with all the technical prowess of being in the press, the ability to be patient at the line of scrimmage and control the receiver speed. That's just as important as being able to run on your own.
He's got the best technique, the best fundamentals, the silkiest hips in this at corner in this draft, in my opinion,
and the highest football IQ.
That too, that as well, and he also played it because coming from Harrowing from Alabama.
If true freshman in the Nick Saban scheme, like you got to be smart to play at that spot. And last but certainly not least, pairing him with Trayvon Diggs as 2 Alabama corners in the secondary, that gives you a smart, athletic secondary.
Yeah.
So yeah, Patrick Surtain at 10, plug and play, move on.
Reminds me of Marlon Humphreys. Looks just like him on film. On to my New York Giants at 11. Board didn't play out as well as I thought it would. Would have liked to got one of those offensive linemen. One of the top ones to fall. With all the quarterbacks going. Would have liked to got a chance at Kyle Pitts, but I don't think that was ever realistic with the Cowboys loving him so much at 10, unless we trade it up. Would have liked to got Michael Parsons to put in our 3-4 scheme. But I'll go ahead and continue to add good players around our quarterback, and I'll take Jalen Waddle.
Another Alabama guy. Is that the second one off the board? Second one off the board,
back to back. He's my receiver 2, true receiver 2. I like his speed. I don't know if you're gonna get a Tyreek Hill level player, but his highlight tape looks like a Tyreek Hill level player. Like his toughness, came back in the national championship game, played through the broken ankle. Hopefully injuries, they do concern me with these undersized speed receivers. But at this point, that's what you're getting when you're drafting undersized speed receivers. The injury concerns are going to be there. But we'll fit the scheme really well. We'd like to see how he plays with Mr. Kenny Galladay and Darius Slayton, probably there to replace Sterling Shepard next season. after this season. So I'll take Waddle. I don't. It's not. I'm not in love with the pick, but I think it's not a reach. It's a good
Look,
pick.
let's not forget that Jalen Waddle was the best receiver in Alabama before he got hurt.
True.
Devontae Smith went on to have a historic season, first receiver to win the Heisman, I think ever. Like Devontae Smith was absolutely unbelievable. But before Jalen Waddle got hurt, he was just a guy.
And I will say, of all four of the major Alabama receivers that have been there the last couple seasons, I think only Henry Ruggs had more talent than Jalen Waddle of the four.
It's like Jalen Waddle was a superstar player. In the first 4 games, he had 557 yards on 25 catches.
His highlight tape is
22 yards
ridiculous.
per catch.
His highlight tape is ridiculous.
It's
He's an
like-
explosive play waiting to happen.
So like that's an offensive weapon that you have in your hands right there. May not be the absolute best case scenario for the New York Giants at 11, but definitely not somebody who's going to hurt the offense. All right, so at 12 we got the Philadelphia Eagles, who traded down from 6 with Miami. We know that Philadelphia has a lot of needs all over the roster. They're in cap hell. Philadelphia should be taking best player available here. Like, I think there's no question. But a smart franchise, what a smart team would do, in my opinion, is take Matt Jones, a quarterback. Because he's got the experience to play. He's played in big hostile territories in Alabama before. He's probably a more talented player right now than Jalen Hurts is, than whoever else might be playing quarterback at Philly. And
The only other person is Joe Flacco, so no, just Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts, Joe Flacco. So Philly hasn't needed the quarterback position. That's what they should do. But you don't trade back. You don't trade down from 6 if you want a quarterback. So what I would do here for Philly is take J.C. Horn. Philly has had a monster need at the cornerback position for what it feels like forever. They just seem to refuse to address with anything other than like middling talent.
They traded for Darius Slay last year.
Yeah,
He's fallen off a little.
Older, more washed up Darius Slay at this point. This is the time to invest a young guy in the position. He's got that Philly personality with the way he loves to be a dog, and he wants to follow everybody across the field. You know, Philly loves their ISO man coverage schemes. He's great in the press. He'll take your number one guy. He'll follow him all across the field and try to take him out of the game. I think for the type of person that J.C. Horn is, the way his character is on the field, coupled with the environment of Philadelphia, I think it's a dream fit.
He's the best man-to-man corner in this draft. The best bumper run coverage guy in this draft. He's a little grabby, but I mean,
would say more than a little.
physicality is necessary sometimes. We'll see. That's what's going to make or break him. Will he get called for grabbing?
Mm-hmm.
Like Surtain, he has pedigree from his dad playing in the league.
Joe Horn.
You like to see that. So that's a good pick. Good pick for the NFC East teams right there. They all get to fall into best player available because quarterbacks went early.
Mm-hmm.
So next we're going on to LAC. And I've got him taking Elijah Vera Tucker, who, like Rashad Slater, is a tackle guard hybrid. It all depends on what you need. And they need it all right now except for right tackle, in my opinion. So go get the best offensive lineman left on the board, in my opinion, right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's plug and play simple. They're taking a tackle. They're taking an offensive lineman in this draft no matter what to protect their future superstar quarterback.
You always got to be worried about the Chargers. It seems like whenever they draft offensive linemen, they're doomed to have injury problems for their entire rookie contract. It's just, it's been tough. It's tough on LAC, but you found Justin Herbert. You might have fell into a top 10 quarterback coming up in the next couple years. Elijah Vera Tucker has that scheme versatility. He can play tackle. He can play guard. I think that you can plug him anywhere on the offensive line, wherever you need help at the most. I like to pick there at 13 for Vera Tucker.
All right, on to 14.
At 14 for Minnesota, I went with, what did I go with? Darrisaw.
Christian Darrisaw.
Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech. Just another one of those offensive line prospects who I like the where he came from in the ACC. Big guy, long guy. It's going to be hard, especially with Kirk Cousins being less mobile than most other guys in the pocket.
They got to fix that offensive line.
They definitely need offensive line help. He's got the size and the length to be able to help move guys in the run game for for Dalvin Cook. He can pass protect Kirk Cousins' blind side. They need help on the offensive line. It's really their biggest need. I think this is a nice plug and play guy here for Minnesota at 14.
Yeah, good pick. offensive linemen, they're going to start going around this. They're going to start running off the board in the mid-first round for the next tier of guys. It's a good offensive line class. Guys are going to, how teams are going to react to that. So 15, I think this is the good value that New England could get. They'll run to the podium. I don't think you really have to trade up for Mac Jones, but that's what I've got New England taking at 15, Mac Jones.
This reminds me of Dwayne Haskins from a couple years ago. He got a guy who people thought were going in the top 5, top 8, top 10-ish, but settles into a much more deserving spot here at 15, I think.
Yeah. At 15, I don't know why. If San Francisco trades up and they traded up for Mac Jones, that's a lot of pressure to put on this guy. I mean, maybe it works out, but I think more in the 15 to New England would be a better for his career.
The next Tom Brady. Obviously, we can't compare anybody to the next Tom Brady, but Mac Jones in the Bill Belichick, Josh McDaniels, Patriot way, it just seems like
going from the Alabama way and the Patriot way are the same way. Next, Arizona.
Arizona at 16. Everything I've seen from Arizona points to a need in the secondary.
I also think they have a need a receiver, but they need their perimeter on offense.
I think their scheme and plus the way their quarterback plays and DeAndre Hopkins being such a dominant player, I think it's better to I think it's better to find a receiver later. And right now, for me, the best player on the board, in my opinion, is Greg Newsome from Northwestern. He is a guy. He's probably the most scheme versatile corner in this class. Cover 2, cover 3 bail. He can press. He can play. I think he's better in off man, but he can press. He can play in man to man. Arizona has a needed corner with Pat Pete being out the door now. So yeah, they got to improve on that defense. They got to find somebody who can go cover those guys in Seattle and in LA. Yeah, Greg Newsome, scheme versatile guy in the Todd Bowles defense. Love the pick there.
Okay.
All right, so we're starting with Vegas.
17, Las Vegas Raiders. Man, Mike, can we please pause to talk about my man Mike Mayock and the struggle they've been putting up to draft players?
I want to give them credit a little bit, just because they don't go off the media board, off the consensus board. They like their guys and they take their guys where they like them.
So when they get guys like Cleveland Floor, we look past it because they like them.
Not a bad player. They turn their for a roster they win 8-8. They should have beat Pat Mahomes in Kansas City twice. So it's not like outside of Jonathan Abrams and Damon Arnett, they definitely have some misses, but they aren't taking bad players. They're just
Colton
taking
Miller.
players.
They took Colton Miller and developed him.
They're just taking players higher than we would take them.
So here I've got them falling into the steal of the draft. I've got them taking Mr. Devontae Smith, who pound for pound could be the best receiver in this draft. Unfortunately,
pounds matter in the NFL.
He doesn't have many pounds on his body. He could be a Marvin Harrison type of receiver. He's the best route runner in the draft class, the best separator, even though I think it's closer between him and Chase than people are making. But Chase was more contested catch guy, so I guess he's not separating as much, you could say. And Devontae Smith can make some contested catches. He's long. I think that's his only saving grace, is that he's built long and lanky.
I just wish we could have seen him test. I would be able to overcome the size
if you knew he was a freaky
special athlete. But that's why we're so comfortable with Jamar Chase going solidly in the top 5. It's because we know, even though he's a little bit undersized, not as undersized as Devontae Smith, but a little bit undersized, he's a special athlete. Devontae Smith, if he's good, he's an outlier. That's the thing you have to worry about when it comes to the pick here at 17 for the Raiders. Is just either he's Marvin Harrison or he's hanging around the league.
At worst, you're getting a Calvin Ridley type of receiver, probably. Calvin Ridley fits the profile. He fits his athletic profile.
Calvin Ridley was a 190-pound guy, not a 165 guy.
He's more of a 185. But yeah, I mean, he won the Heisman. He dominated in college. So
as far as the tape goes, as far as the ability to perform on the field goes, yes. He won the Heisman for a reason. He was a ridiculously productive player at Alabama. He carried that offense to a national championship.
Probably carried Mac Jones to getting drafted over him in this scenario.
Yeah, it's absolutely. As far as a guy, separating definitely matters more in today's NFL than ever before. And as the class's best separator, he's definitely deserving of being in the first round. So yeah, best player available for the Vegas Raiders. They need help at the receiving position. Go ahead.
And so that's one of my best fits that we've got in this mock. So I think the next best fit that I like a lot is what you're going to do at 18.
Yeah, Azeez Ojulari. He's a guy who I wouldn't mind for my Cowboys taking at 10. I think he could play in both the 3-4 and the 4-3 on the edge. With his ability as an athlete, he's got some really good hands as far as like battling tackles on the edge. A little bit underwhelming when it comes to his overall production, but we know those Oklahoma guys. You have a really hard time scouting what they do on the defensive end because they play that weird scheme. But with the athletic testing, with the scheme versatility, with Miami knowing how to.
You mean Georgia? You mean Georgia?
Georgia. My bad, Georgia. With the scheme versatility, with the Miami, I think Miami will love him to play that kind of move around linebacker, rush the passer type guy. So yeah, Miami 18 is Azeez Ojulari.
Yeah. Rumor has it this guy's the he's the number one edge on the Giants board. So he fits he fits that scheme. He's built for that hybrid 3-4 scheme that Miami's also running. Yeah, he'll fit that scheme perfectly, and that's good value. You're not too high. He's in mid first round, back end.
Probably where he belongs. Yeah. Not a great edge rusher, top of the edge rusher class.
All right, so we did have trades in this. So but we didn't have any in the top half. But we did have our first one. We had Indiana jumping Chicago. So Indiana jumping from 21 to 19, swapping with Washington, jumping Chicago, and that's so I could have Indiana jump Chicago and take someone who could pound for pound be the best corner in this draft, Caleb Farley.
Yeah, I definitely think Farley has the highest upside of any corner in this draft. He's got the size of Surtain, the athleticism of J.C. Horn without the grabbing issues. Very new to the position, though.
But that might be the saving grace. That receiver, those receivers turn corners. It's worked a lot at that position. I like him in man coverage. I know I do like him. I do like Horn a little bit better in man coverage because he covered a little bit more harder covers in college. But Farley's the best athlete. He's the best athlete of the corners. So you get this corner class. You're getting your mix. You've got Surtain, who's the best all around guy. You've got Horn, who's the best bumper run man and man guy, and you've got Farley, who's got the highest upside and has the freakish athleticism. Mm-hmm. So I've got Indiana jumping Chicago, who I think Chicago would love to add Farley to replace Fuller. Injury concerns, of course, but everything seems to be cleared out right now. And if your doctors are telling you could get 6 to 8 years out of him, I'd take Caleb Farley at 19.
So if we trust the medicals, there's only one more thing I have with Caleb Farley, and that's he's an opt-out guy. He's only really played the position for about a year, some change, and when we watch him, it's like I see him getting cooked up by guys at Old Dominion. So it's just for a guy who's so new with the position, especially to go to Indianapolis, a team who is more of a zone team with Matt Eberflus there in Indianapolis. Caleb Farley's a guy who could go top 10 like Michael Parsons. He's a guy who, athletic, talent-wise, deserves to be in the top half of the first round of this draft. But because of the medicals, because of the inexperience at the position, I think this is why he falls here at number 19 to Indianapolis.
All right, next 20, Chicago.
With Chicago getting Caleb Farley possibly snatched out from under their feet, I went with an offensive lineman and Tevin Jenkins in Chicago. We know the number one need in Chicago is at quarterback. And they would be smart here to probably trade up ahead of a New England for a Mac Jones or try to jump into the top of the first round, top 5-ish.
That mini spot would be a good spot. It's just a shame that they're Chicago, so that's not a possibility.
Yeah, not a possibility. So Chicago, since they have to sit here, they have to take, not a bad player in Tevin Jenkins, and massive human being.
Underrated player, in my opinion.
Massive human being out of, I think, Oklahoma State.
Yep.
I like him a lot. He seems like a guy who can fit well in a cold weather area to be a big, physical, mauling type of offensive lineman. Chicago's they're gonna want to run the ball because the other option is throwing it with Andy Dalton.
Hey, I bet Andy Dalton throws for 4,000 yards this year if he starts 16.
Yeah, we could put a bet on that and see how that works out for you. Chicago playoff teams, 2 of the last 3 years. They
Unfortunately.
finally moved on from Mitchell Trubisky, but still a ton of talent on that roster, especially on the defensive end. I like Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney they have out there. You could have easily gone receiver here. They could use another guy like a Marshall or a Moore. They could have definitely gone to the receiver position, but I think the more valuable, the best value, which the draft is for best value, is Tevin Jenkins from Oklahoma State.
Definitely. So next we have Washington, who traded back to 21.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have a quarterback need, so it'd been nice if they could have traded back some more to go target the Kyle Trask, Kellen Mond, that third tier of quarterbacks. But I think right here they're gonna have to settle for the best pure interior offensive lineman in this draft, and I've got him taking Landon Dickerson from Alabama. This guy's gigantic. This guy's physical.
We only love Alabama guys in Washington.
This is a nasty trench guy. That's all you get. That's all you need to say about this guy. This is a nasty trench guy. Good pick for Washington here. They're gonna want to run the football and protect their quarterback as best as they can.
Yeah, love it. You can't go wrong with the offensive line. You can plug him right in on the interior, pair him with Scherf and Chase Roulier, I think it is, at center for them. I can't quite remember what was Washington's down the interior, but yeah, I think another talented guy there from a big time school. We know Washington football team loves their Alabama guys, so you go ahead and help seal up that offensive line and hope that that defense, along with the strong run game and maybe some Ryan Fitzpatrick dealing it out to Scary Terry and Curtis Samuel. I like it. I like the pick of Washington football team. They got a lot of good things going on in their future right now.
Yeah. So next we have another pick. I really like that Washington pick. So we have another good value pick coming up here that you got at 22 to Tennessee.
Yeah. Tennessee lost Corey Davis in free agency. Their offense struggled mightily in that playoff matchup against Baltimore. They should be getting Lawan back. I'm pretty sure he missed that playoff matchup last year with an injury, so they can get Lawan back. They let Coughlin go, which I feel like was a bad decision to let him go to Cleveland, but
unfortunately they paid their running back and their quarterback and their tackle, so they couldn't keep everybody. Unfortunately,
and still some good offensive linemen on the board here. Leatherwood still here, Eichenberg still here, but I think a big athletic weapon on the outside that Tannehill can throw the ball down the field to, can open up the field for A.J. Brown to be the dominant possession intermediate guy that he is somebody who could possibly pull a safety back off of Derrick Henry. I love Terrence Marshall here from LSU.
Great fit, in my opinion.
LSU has almost become receiver U here in the NFL. He showed out in a season with no real talent at LSU.
And he showed out the year before when they were talented.
Big guy, fast guy, high catch point. I think he's a weapon, a true weapon here for Tennessee as they try to rebuild that offense.
Yeah, if they replace Marshall, Corey Davis with Marshall, that's good enough to negate that, and he'll fit better because I think he's more of a deep threat. He's gonna be more of a deep threat. Open it up, take those safeties back, or take advantage of the fact that they gotta drop safeties down because you kind of have to drop your safety down when you're playing Tennessee. Yeah. So they kind of always have gotta have those burners on the outside. Good matchup good pairing with A.J. Brown as well. So on the 23, we've got the New York Jets on the clock again. And I've got another offensive line pick, just another big, nasty Alabama guy. I've got him taking the tackle from Alabama, Alex Leatherwood. Don't even gotta say no more. Another big, nasty SEC.
Pair him with Mekhi Becton.
Another big.
You're giving
SEC
Fields
nasty
or Zach Wilson a great bookends at the tackle position that could definitely improve that offensive line and give him a high floor on offense for what their quarterback could be if he don't have to worry about running for his life the entire time.
Exactly.
You don't think the Jets could have gone with another weapon there on offense?
I already did that. My feeling is I've already valued skill position over O-line enough for a lifetime taking Chase over Penei Sewell, so I went here. They could have easily taken one of those running backs.
They picked 34. They also picked 34 at the bottom of at the top of the second.
So I feel like they'll definitely, and I think we talked that out earlier that they were going to pick high in the second round. So they'll probably be able to wait for a receiver in the second round and still get a weapon. So yeah, Alex Leatherwood.
All right, and another trade at number 24. We're gonna bring Buffalo up from 30. To take Pittsburgh's first round pick at 24. Pittsburgh moves back down to 30. I think the reasoning here is the flush of edge talent still left at the bottom of the first round right here.
Yep, and a massive need.
Buffalo's got a gigantic need on the edge, but the that, a good edge player here could get them over the top of Kansas City or Baltimore, any of those teams that they're competing with in the AFC right now. And my favorite guy here for Buffalo is Jalen Phillips from Miami. I think we know about the injury issues. The injuries are well documented, but I don't think scare money make money. And for a guy who, with so many great edge talents in Miami, he clearly was the best one. 5-star recruit coming out of high school. He's got the technique. He's got the athleticism. His only real problem is maybe a less than 100% high motor and some injury problems. But I think Buffalo, a team that was in the AFC Championship game just a year ago, is in a position where they can take a guy like that. And if he hits, it's going to be scary in Buffalo.
He's edge one. And the only concerns he has is the injuries, and unfortunately, it's concussions. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a little bit more serious because than even knee injury, a bad knee injury or an Achilles, because he already left football for a little bit. But maybe, hopefully, he's just so freakishly athletic, and his film is so kamikaze-like. He fit that scheme nice, I've got him as the number one edge player in the draft. So
to get him at 24. For a 6-spot trade up, that seems like great value.
Yeah. Next, we've got 25. We're going to just go ahead and link up in tandem T-Law and Travis Etienne for eternity. I've got him, Jacksonville, taking Travis Etienne at 25.
No. What are you doing?
Taking a running back in the first round. That's what I'm doing.
Why?
I don't know. Because the value is, because like we always say, there's only 24 true first-round players in every draft. And it's time to take, and Travis Etienne is one of them. And if you're getting you're getting a top 10 true talent at 25. And he's played with your future franchise quarterback. They're trying to get Clemson's fan base to migrate to Jacksonville's fan base and keep him here in America, so they don't got to play across the pond. Travis Etienne at 25.
James Robinson just had 1,400 yards last year. They found a guy off the street, a guy you've never even heard of. 1,400 yards with no real quarterback or receiving game to take the pressure off of him.
So he could easily have just been bad player. He could have been a good player on bad team. So
imagine it with guys on the board here like Jacksonville could have taken a Kwity Paye. They could have added to the secondary another receiving weapon. Do you really trust DJ Chark?
I like DJ Chark.
Your number one, your top guy with. I don't even. Is Keelan Cole still there?
No,
I like Laviska Shenault. I like Laviska Shenault, but I don't know. He's more of a weapon than I think he is a number one option.
They're gonna use you. You've seen it at Clemson. That two back college shotgun formation. That's what they're gonna be in. They're gonna put both of them on the field. Both can catch. Both can run really well. And there's nothing wrong with running the ball extra when you have a rookie quarterback anyway. So it's there. And come on, Travis Etienne will probably have a infinitely better career than James Robinson 5 years from now.
But how much more valuable is that, is what I ask. Now, Travis Etienne is a first-round talent, but the positional value, it's hard for me to justify putting, but this is what you want to go with, Travis Etienne at 25 to Jacksonville. So, so that's where we stand, 25. Hang on, pause it.
Cleveland,
can you believe we're at 26 and this is Cleveland's first round pick? Like, what a world we're living in right now, huh?
Crazy.
Cleveland's got a ton of talent all over their roster. They're a team who I think can sit and take best player available, and I think the best player on the board here is Kwity Paye, the edge from Michigan. And as a Cowboys fan, it scares me to take a big edge from Michigan at 26 overall because just a few years ago we took Taco Charlton, and this guy's a Taco Charlton.
He's more athletic,
much more productive, much more athletic, and also getting to be in a situation where he gets to get paired up with Myles Garrett. He does. He can. I think right now he could possibly be a better player than Jadeveon Clowney over the next few years, who Cleveland just signed. Those seem like similar type of players that they are going for. Clowney was obviously a ridiculous athlete coming out, which is why he got to go one. But Kwity Paye, a guy who can play out in the base, at edge, kick inside on the pass rushing downs, let him go against guards, use his quickness and his athleticism on the inside, but he's got enough that he can play on the outside as well. Cleveland wants to Cleveland's looking to turn that defense from good to great. And Kwity Paye is a guy a talented player who you can plug right in. Can play the run, can rush the passer for you. I love Kwity Paye here at 26. Probably a more fitting position for his talent than in the top 15.
Built like a statue, muscles everywhere, freak athlete. Fits the model of what Cleveland likes to draft and attack at edge.
They love big guys. Love big guys. Big athletic guys on the outside.
So next we have Baltimore, and I've got them taking.
I got it.
All right, 27. Baltimore will go ahead and take Jason Oweh, the edge rusher from Penn State, who I think is a better edge player than Kwity Paye at the moment, but I just mainly off his versatility as well. I think he's more of a 3-4 edge, and Kwity Paye is a 4-3 edge, and both guys are scheme specific. And you're probably getting the same value at these guys at 26 to 27. How fitting that Cleveland and Baltimore are trying to fit the same type of position at practically back-to-back picks. And I think Oweh will fit the scheme pretty well for Baltimore. He fits the big, athletic, edge, outside linebacker that could do some drop-back stuff as well. Got some good tape out there as well. I think he's he looks like this guy's a Baltimore player.
I agree. That's the one statement with that. I definitely think he's a Baltimore type of player. The best athlete in the class.
Some versatility. The best athlete.
The best athlete in the class.
Waddle's a freak athlete. Trey Lance is a freak athlete. Surtain and Horn are freak athletes. But right behind those guys, probably Kwity Paye, for their pound for pound, these guys, unlike Devontae Smith, they actually have pounds. So when they do these crazy athletic things, it looks very, very impressive. Good edge presence there for Baltimore at 27.
Love Jason Oweh. I love his upside. Like, this is a guy who's at the upside of a 20-sack season guy. If he gets the right coaching and which Baltimore will give him, and he gets in the right situation where he doesn't have to go be the pass rusher, but if he could be a guy who you throw in there for some mismatch situations, I think he'd be really good in terms of like a blitz scheme where you can like sit him up the middle on the edge, twist him around. The coverage upside is very much there as well. Oh yeah, Jason Oweh, probably not the production of a first round player, but the athletic talent for sure. And Baltimore sitting here, they're another team who could take the best player available here. I think you could have gone with receiver as well, but I don't have any issues with Jason Oweh here at 27 for Baltimore.
Would have liked to go receiver, but I just realized they did lose 2 edge players this offseason. Mm-hmm. And they just drafted Hollywood Brown in the first round, and they're not really good at drafting receiver. So I wouldn't even think about wasting a pick at that anyway for them.
All right, number 28, we got New Orleans. New Orleans, definitely a quarterback need. This could be your Kyle Trask type of pick right here.
The rumor did come out that they are in love with him, and he will definitely be on the board when they go to pick. Now that I'm looking at it, probably, unless somebody really likes him, unless like Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So as far as New Orleans goes, they for the past few years, you could argue they had the most talented roster in the league, but with cap crunches, they've had to let go of a lot of guys, a lot of restructurings. Drew Brees obviously retired. They don't really have another weapon on the other side of Mike Thomas. They don't have really a middle of the field threat, so you can always go weapon right there. I like their edges in Cam Jordan and Davenport. You could have gone Christian Barmore here at D tackle, but for me, I think Asante Samuel Jr. is the best fit for New Orleans here at 28. We know that Marshawn Lattimore has gotten into some nonsense in the offseason.
Just a situation.
We won't comment on that until more information is out, but we'll see what his status looks like for the upcoming year. They don't really have another. They tried out Janoris Jenkins. They tried out Elijah Apple. New Orleans has been looking for a number 2 cornerback for a while.
And I will say Asante Samuel, his film and his game reminds me of Janoris Jenkins.
I agree with that. Very, very much a gambler like his dad, a guy who wants to try to come up and make plays on the ball, but one of those guys who can really just be in a receiver's hip pocket all day, man coverage. Yeah. I think that's a good fit for what New Orleans wants to do on the defensive end. You're not going to ask him to be a number 1. You're hoping he can come and be a number 2, maybe a nickel guy for you because he's a little undersized. Yeah. But a guy who probably has deserving of a higher pick than this. because of the size concerns and because of some other players on the board, he falls here at number 28 to New Orleans.
Could also be. They also had Patrick Robertson a few years back.
Mhm.
He's a good comp for Asante Samuel. That undersized slot, good but slot corner, but athletic enough to be on the outside.
Yes, exactly.
So at 29, I'm gonna do the unthinkable for Green Bay, and I'm gonna take a receiver. I'm gonna draft Elijah Moore
We're gonna get
from Ole Miss.
We're finally gonna get Aaron Rodgers a weapon. Will he even be there to enjoy it?
Probably not. They're building a team for the team they're building now is for Jordan Love. So good luck to Mr. Rogers.
That's why they can enjoy their one Super Bowl.
But Elijah Moore, it was a toss up between him and Kadarius Toney. I think both guys are overrated prospects, but I do think both are the best receiver on the board that fits the type of receiver Green Bay is looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Now they could go with a Bateman, but I just don't think you need two type of low separation big receivers out to for Aaron Rodgers to be throwing the ball. So go get a dynamic speed guy that you can move around and do some stuff things with. Good pick here, I think, in my opinion, if they could get an Elijah Moore.
Elijah Moore, undersized guy, but highly productive burner at Ole Miss. Aaron Rodgers' biggest strength is throwing the ball down the field outside the pocket, off script. And for whatever reason, Green Bay has done everything in their power to not take advantage of that exact skill. I personally would have gone with Kadarius Toney here because I love the yak. Kadarius Toney looks like Randall Cobb to me.
That's a good comp for him.
But I don't think you can go wrong with Elijah Moore as well. I think that's a good. Green Bay needs a weapon. They need another guy who would go take some pressure off of Devontae Adams to be this all-world player when it matters most in the playoffs. And with either with Aaron Rodgers or Jordan Love, getting another weapon in that offense is the right way to go.
Yep. All right, on to 30.
30. This will be Pittsburgh's new pick now that they traded back with Buffalo. This could also be quarterback for Pittsburgh. That would probably be the right decision here. But Kyle Trask isn't the best player on my board. I don't know how much better Kyle Trask is than the quarterbacks who are possibly coming up next year for Pittsburgh. So I don't think they're in a position where you brought Ben Roethlisberger back. So I think you're going to try to go win right now. And the biggest problem with Pittsburgh last year wasn't their offense was a problem last year, but I think a bigger issue was with the injuries they suffered on defense. Lost Devin White to an injury. Lost Bud Dupree early in the year to an injury. Oh, they have Devin Bush. Devin Bush. My apologies.
Devin Bush.
But Pittsburgh, we know the Pittsburgh scheme. I love Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah here from Notre Dame.
JOK.
They just took a Notre Dame guy, a big athletic Notre Dame guy last year, Chase Claypool. That worked out for them. Obviously, different positions. But Pittsburgh, you could play this guy at linebacker, play this guy on the edge, might play this guy at some safety. Excellent coverage skills of both man and zone. He's a guy who, a perfect one of those robber guys. When Pittsburgh bring all their exotic blitz schemes, JOK seems like the perfect guy to be sitting underneath and taking those balls right back to the house. You could pair him up with Devin Bush on the inside. You could pair him up with Micah Fitzpatrick on the back end too. Just seems like a Pittsburgh type of player, a movable piece, super talented. No reason he should be here at number 30, but that's where we are.
Great value. Like the Azeez Ojulari, like the Devontae Smith, like the Caleb Farley, like the Leatherwood, Pay and Oweh. There's going to be good defensive players that are freak athletes in the back end of this first round. Mm-hmm. It's all about your preference.
Definitely an offensive draft for 5 quarterbacks will go in the top half of it. Love tons of offensive players. Pittsburgh make sure that defense remains elite. The reason why they were 11-0 at one point last year, I think it's the right decision for them to go here at 30, especially because of the value.
All right, let's wrap it up with these last couple picks. The two participants in the Super Bowl. I've got Kansas City reaching for need because they need offensive tackle need. They haven't filled that position in the offseason. I've got them taking Liam Eichenberg from O-Line U, Notre Dame. You know what you're getting when you're getting Notre Dame tackles. Uh-huh. They're well trained, well versed in all the necessary things you need to have to play tackle in the NFL. And Kansas City needs some. And while he might be the least dominant of the last few to have come out, who's the guy in Baltimore? Stanley, the Zach Martins. Forgetting one. The guy Mike McGlinchey in San Fran.
Almost can't go wrong with a Notre Dame tackle.
He might not be as dominant as those guys, but he's got pretty good technique, pretty good build, great size actually, pretty great build. And I think Kansas City would get a good player there at 31.
Yeah, I agree. Taller guy than Zach Martin was, and I think taller than Rodney Stanley was coming out. But smooth athlete. Kansas City let both their tackles go out the door last year, so they got to replace them. I thought Kansas City made a bad pick last year and taking a running back from the bottom in the first round. That was a luxury pick. And now that your quarterback's going to be a $40 million man for the next 10 years, you can't afford those luxury picks anymore. Starting Mike Rimmers literally cost you a Super Bowl. You got to come out here. You got to fix the position. A lovely and Mike Burke here at 31 for Kansas City. Maybe a small reach, but these guys are offensive linemen away from being back-to-back Super Bowl champions. Maybe even 3 straight Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, the need is just too much need, unfortunately.
You got to protect Patrick Mahomes. He's worth too much money. Best tackle left on the board, probably. Although I like the guy from Texas, but we're good here with Eichenberg at 31. And last but certainly not least in the first round at 32, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Feels like this, like Tom Brady Super Bowl team picking at 32. This seems like an auto trade back.
Yeah, the Bucks will not pick a player here probably.
Yeah, it's like I feel like I would be surprised if Baltimore. If Tampa Bay picked a player here, but since this is more of a first round mock, we're gonna sit here with and let them pick at 32. For Tampa Bay, I went with Zayvon Collins. I love the scheme versatility from Tulsa. He's a small school guy, but 6'4", 260, really good athlete. A guy who can he can stand up and play in the middle with David or White, feature replacement for one of those guys. A guy who might be a better pass rusher.
Who plays J. Pierre-Paul.
Who would possibly replace J. Pierre-Paul on the edge. He can play in coverage as well. One of those moving pieces for Todd Bowles type of system. Great size, great athleticism. Probably the best player on the board here left in the first round out of Tulsa, Zayvon Collins.
All right. I guess we could go ahead and that'll wrap up the first round, but let's go ahead and maybe talk about some underrated,
So what do you think? Who do you think got the best value here?
The best value? Miami, LV, Cleveland, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. The back end definitely won.
I thought this draft was great for the guys for all the playoff teams. I really think the playoff teams are gonna added a bunch of really quality players who probably wouldn't be there at a oversaturated quarterback draft.
I think Zach Wilson is a winner in this draft because
Anybody who didn't have to go to New York is a winner.
He didn't have to go to the Jets at 2. And some losers would be Denver because they didn't get the quarterback of their choice, probably, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Philly might have won Surtain over Horn, but they might be okay with that.
If I had to pick the best overall value here, I think number one would have to be JOK in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's defense was already nasty last year until a couple of injuries set them back. But they lost they lost Bud Dupree this year. I think they lost Mike Hilton. So they lost a couple of starters from that defense. But adding a guy who is a good fit for that defense, along with being versatile enough to play in many different spots for the Pittsburgh defense. Super talented player, great in coverage. I love that pick for Pittsburgh. I also really like Greg Newsome for 16 at Arizona. I think he's probably the best overall scheme fit in the top half of the first round. They have a big need at corner as well. Very talented player. I think Arizona's a nice winner there. Obviously, the Vegas Raiders were getting Devontae Smith at 17. That feels very CeeDee Lamb to Dallas like last year.
And we've seen it recently that receivers are falling.
Receivers are a dime a dozen now more than ever. Still arguably the most talented players on the field, but everyone's coming up to be a receiver nowadays. Everybody's being trained to be a receiver. All these guys are studs. All these guys are great at playing at the position. If I had to pick a loser from this first round, Definitely Denver having to take Micah Parsons here. They didn't get a chance to add to the offensive line. Not a chance to really go get a quarterback who could do something. So I like Micah Parsons. And if Micah Parsons work out, that could easily be a lot better.
Definitely Chicago losing out on Caleb Farley.
Yeah, Chicago. They need offensive line help. Chicago doesn't get a quarterback here. That definitely hurts them.
Washington football team not getting a quarterback. Those playoff teams that needed quarterbacks that don't get quarterbacks.
Pittsburgh, those type of teams who didn't get quarterbacks, though, that definitely hurts. I don't love Travis Etienne at 25 in Jacksonville. I feel like there are more talented players that have more valuable positions on the board. But overall, I think I don't see any bad misses here. I don't see anybody here where I'm thinking like, we don't know. Obviously, you can't judge a draft for another 3 to 5 years. But I don't see anybody here who.
No Mitchell Trubisky type of reaches. That's all. No Mitchell Trubisky type of reaches. No EJ Manuel type of reaches. Where it's just like
Mac Jones got the fall of 15.
That's a win for New England.
Maybe Chicago should have came up. Maybe Pittsburgh should have came up. But overall, yeah.
How about 3 day 2 guys? Day 2 guys that you like to
let's go
highlight.
ahead and see who even made it to the second round for this board off the board.
So I'm seeing Rousseau still on the board. I like him. You know how I feel like him a little bit
Christian
more than you
Barmore
do.
from Alabama. That's a guy who I think has top 20 potential. Who got out of the first round. Rashad Bateman got out of the first round.
The 2 guys from Kentucky, Jamon Davis.
Yeah, Jamin Davis and Kelvin Joseph. They both got out of the first round. I like the tackle from Texas a lot. Samuel Cosme, he got out the first round.
We've both got Kyle Trask as our quarterback number 6.
Kyle Trask should be the next quarterback off the board. Yes, I agree.
I'll also throw in that people are giving lots of love to Kellen Mond too recently.
Yeah, I heard he could sneak into the back end of round 1, but that's probably just bait.
Nick Collins from Michigan. I like him. But yeah, those are
a ton of corners. I think
definitely Rashad Bateman.
Rashad Bateman here. I think there's you got Tyson Campbell still here. Eric Stokes is on the board.
Jabril Cox type of player. I
Jabril
like
Cox
him.
is still here. Definitely a lot of defensive talent left on day 2. So for these guys who took offensive players in the first round who might need some defense, like Kansas City, like Green Bay,
Cleveland, Baltimore like to stock up on defense.
it's like
New
Jacksonville
Orleans
could use another guy on defense. There's
The
a ton of
Jets.
defensive talent left in the top of the second round.
Also, we'll get blasted by the North Carolina fans if we don't mention their 2 guys.
Running backs don't belong in the first round.
Running backs don't matter. I don't care about your running backs.
That'll wrap it up for today. So we'll be back after the draft to recap.